What if a woman's final days contained warning signs that nobody fully understood until it was too late? The story of Mica Miller shocked many people across South Carolina and beyond, not only because of her tragic death, but because of the questions surrounding her troubled marriage, her reports of harassment, and the events leading up to April 2024. Mica Miller was a 30-year-old woman from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. She was known by friends and family as someone with dreams, relationships, and a life of her own, but behind the scenes, her marriage to Pastor John Paul Miller had become deeply troubled. As their relationship broke down, Mica sought help and reportedly expressed concerns about her safety. She eventually filed for divorce, and the situation became increasingly complicated. Then came April 27, 2024. Mica traveled to Lumber River State Park in North Carolina. What happened there would change the lives of everyone who knew her. Mica was found dead from a gunshot wound, and investigators ultimately determined that her death was a suicide. But the circumstances surrounding her death quickly became the subject of intense public discussion. People began examining her marriage, her previous statements, her interactions with others, and the events immediately before her death. Online speculation grew rapidly, with many people asking whether there was more to the story. But it is important to separate confirmed facts from internet theories. A tragedy can create unanswered questions without proving that a particular person caused it. Mica's relationship with John Paul Miller became one of the central parts of the public story. The couple had separated, and their divorce proceedings were underway. Reports also described allegations involving harassment and stalking. Mica had reportedly sought protection and assistance before her death, which made her final days particularly concerning to those who knew her. After her death, the case attracted enormous attention on social media. Supporters, friends, and strangers began sharing videos, messages, and theories about what might have happened. Some believed Mica's story deserved a deeper investigation, while others warned against turning an extremely painful tragedy into online speculation. The case became even more complicated as authorities continued investigating matters surrounding the relationship. In 2025, John Paul Miller was federally indicted on allegations including cyberstalking Mica and making false statements to investigators. Those federal charges are separate from the determination that Mica died by suicide, and an indictment is an accusation, not a conviction. That distinction matters. When a case becomes viral, it can be easy for assumptions to become treated as facts. But the truth deserves something different: careful attention to evidence, official records, and what investigators actually established. For many people who followed Mica's story, perhaps the most painful part is that she had reportedly been trying to move forward with her life. Divorce can be emotionally overwhelming even without allegations of harassment or fear. When someone repeatedly expresses concern about their safety, those warnings deserve to be taken seriously. Mica's story has therefore become more than a headline. It has also sparked conversations about domestic conflict, stalking, online harassment, personal safety, and the importance of listening when someone says they are afraid. At the same time, Mica should not be remembered only through the controversy surrounding her death. She was a person with family, friends, memories, hopes, and an identity beyond the headlines. Behind every viral case is a human being whose loved ones continue living with the loss long after the internet moves on to the next story. That is why responsible storytelling matters. We can ask questions without inventing answers. We can discuss evidence without presenting speculation as fact. And we can remember a victim without reducing her entire life to the circumstances of her death. The story of Mica Miller remains deeply emotional because it sits at the intersection of tragedy, relationships, allegations, and unanswered questions. Some facts are established. Other matters have been the subject of legal proceedings and investigation. And some claims circulating online remain nothing more than speculation. As new developments emerge, the most responsible approach is to follow verified information and allow the legal process to determine what can actually be proven. Mica's story reminds us that warning signs should never be casually dismissed. If someone says they feel unsafe, if they report stalking or harassment, or if they are trying to escape a frightening situation, their concerns deserve attention and support. We may never know every private detail of another person's life, but we can choose to listen, to take safety concerns seriously, and to treat difficult stories with compassion rather than sensationalism. And perhaps that is the most important thing to remember. Behind every headline is a real human life. Mica Miller was more than a viral story, more than a case discussed across social media, and more than the questions surrounding her final days. She was Mica, a daughter, a friend, and a woman whose life ended tragically at just 30 years old. Her story continues to raise difficult questions, but it also reminds us why truth, evidence, compassion, and If you found this story informative, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who may want to understand the case, and subscribe to the channel for more carefully researched stories and updates. Thank you for watching, and please remember, when a real person is at the center of a tragedy, the truth matters, but so does compassion.